All right, so in this video, I'll be showing you exactly how we turned $3,000 into over $36,000 in the span of 1 year using nothing but algorithmic trading. And just as a disclaimer, the trading bot that I'm currently using for this account is Archangel X, which is my own trading bot. If you want to know more info about it, you can click the link in the description. But let's jump back into this video. So as you can see right here, we have deposited almost $3,000 in this account about a year ago, a year and some change at this point, and we withdrew in the end $36,000. So as you can see right here, the account did start at almost $3,000. We were able to do 1,100% gain with a average monthly profit of 20% and a drawdown of 34%. So even if we go down here to 2024, this is when we traded this account. As you can see, 2023, we have no data. But 2024, as you can see, we started pretty strong at 25%, then 50%, then 41% for the first 3 months. And then as you can see, we did taper off the risk, and I will explain why we did that as well. So you have to understand that when you're trading a smaller account like $3,000, that the hardest thing to do is escape out of that small account size. Is getting, for example, from 3,000 to 10,000. That's really the challenge there, and doing it with a respectable amount of drawdown. Now, we could have done this much sooner. Instead of it taking a year, it could have took us 6 months, but then the drawdown would have been much higher, maybe at 60-70%. But that's not something that I wanted to do for this specific account flip. I wanted to keep it at a respectable drawdown, even if it meant taking it slow. At the end of the day, we did turn $3,000 into a full-time person's salary. So we're good there, right? As you can see, though, the hardest part of trading these types of accounts is the beginning. As you can see, we started off at $3,000, then we went to around $5,000, then $5.4 then we came back down to $3,700. Now this here doesn't look big, but in retrospect, this is a pretty big loss, going from 5,400 all the way to 3,700. Just almost break even, slightly in profit, and then we had to build back up from there. So the reason we take a lot of risk during the beginning is because we want to get it outside of the $3,000 range and into the $10,000 range as fast as possible. And as you can see, once we do that, the drawdown is not as bad. So as you can see here, the first month is really where we had the most drawdown. That's when we were trying to exit out of that $3,000 range. Is really hard. So that's usually when you're going to take the most drawdown. But once we were able to get around the 10 grand portion, which is around here, we still had a couple of losses as part of the game, but the rise up was much smoother. Of course, like I said, there's always going to be a few losses, but nothing crazy. As you saw, the drawdown was really extreme during the beginning, but after that, it was fine for the rest of the year. And that's why even here you see that we tapered off the amount of profit that we make, because we're also tapering off the amount of risk that we're taking. Because once our account is at 15,000, 20,000, we don't need to take as much risk in order to grow that account compared to $3,000 where you need the 50% month, the 40% month. Anyways, how have we been able to do this? Simply by using my trading algorithm Archangel X that you're seeing right here. But more specifically, I want to show you the method, the workflow of how it works in order to do such things. So we take advantage of MetaTrader's strategy tester and their own machine learning. So because this trading algorithm is like a Swiss Army knife of trading. It can trade trending sessions, it could trade ranging sessions, it could trade any pair that you want it. As long as it's on MT5, it can trade it. So how do you find different settings that will work for specific pairs or whatever? And that's why we use the strategy tester and the machine learning. So this allows us to create multiple different, like thousands of different strategies and different combinations of inputs and test all of them all at the same time. And then it will tell us which ones are the most profitable. And then we use something that we created, which is our AI set file finder, for it to give us the exact files that we wanted that respect our drawdown. We'll get into that in a second, and I'll show you a real life preview of what that would look like. So yeah, let's say we're trying to do this again, right? So let's say our deposit was $3,000, right? As I've shown you, you'll just input or load one of our optimization files that we give you, And then from there, you'll start the test. After the test has ended, you'll get something like this. So something that looks a bit like this. All right. So these are just a bunch of data that you don't necessarily need to understand what this is, but we export this data, we import it into our AI set file finder. Once we have it here, we put the balance, which is of course $3,000, and we put a target drawdown. So let's say in this case, our target drawdown is $1,500, which means about 50% of the initial balance. That's the most amount of drawdown we want to take. And then we look here into this big table and we see this thing that says estimated total profit and estimated total drawdown. And these are all the different combinations of settings that we can literally just download and plug into our trading algorithm because we've done the process. And as you can see, for example, this setting would have yielded us $15,462 with only $1,500 in drawdown. That's a crazy risk to reward right there. Or like there's quite a few there that, for example, this is 15,200 for 1,500 drawdown, and then there's pages, as you can see, 4,351 different combinations of files that can get you results. Now we don't need that many, we only need one or two. So let's say we like one of these. Let's pick one. Let's, for example, pick this one. Let's pick the second one, 5325. All we do, come here, we put the number, we download the file. That's it. That's all you really got to do. Now you come back into here, you load up that same file that you downloaded, and we're going to test it out and see how it performed during our back test and our forward test. We go to the graph to see a visual representation of what that looked like. And by the way, the blue line is the balance, the green line is the equity. So whenever the green line is below the blue line, that means you're in drawdown. So okay, it finished its testing, as we can see right here. And let's check the information. So this file during our backtesting period, which is from April 1st to July, made us $11,455 from our initial deposit of $3,000 with a drawdown maximum of $1,700. So $1,725. So it's slightly above our 1,500 target drawdown, but it's almost there. And on the forward test, it did $3,749 with with the $1,000 in drawdown. So that's really, really good, as you can see. So in total, it would have made us 15,000 something based on this data that we have here. And the win rates, as we can see, is about 61% for the shorts and 66% for the longs. This is decent. We could find better if we wanted to just focus on win rate, for example, right? We could try something else. We could come back here and find another file. For example, I downloaded one earlier, the 5486. So the 5486. Okay, we can see this one would have made us $9,900 with about $1,500 in drawdown. So let's go ahead and test it out. What is it? 5486 right here. Start. And we look at the graph. So here we go. These are the results. It looks pretty good. And now when we go to the back test, this file, for example, made us $6,000 with $1,499 in drawdown. So this respected our target drawdown of 1,500, as you can see right there. We were up from the back test staff $6,000 plus another $3,700 or $3,800 actually on the forward test with the maximum drawdown with only $1,178. So again, we found a really good file. But this time, if we look at the short trades win rate is 82%, the long trades win rate is 98%. So now we have a much higher win rate file, for example. Or even on the forward test, we won all of our shorts and we won 97% of our longs. So this is a high win rate strategy that yields a bit less money than the other one, but again, it's a much higher win rate and a bit less drawdown at maximum of 1,500 based on this data. So How do we use this information that we just got here, these files right now? So now you have the actual file. So you can go ahead, come back. Where is it? Here, you can double click here, load up that same file right here, and you will trade exactly like what you're seeing on the back test and the forward test. Now, is it 100% guaranteed to trade exactly like this? Like get you the exact same results? No, because again, it's a game of probabilities, but there's a very high chance that it continues down that path, especially if you're doing this process correctly, which we teach you inside our course, by the way. Anyways, so we take files like that and then we put them onto our trading algorithm and then we let it trade. And this is what happens. You get account growth from here to here. Now you might be like, okay, but there is no file that you showed us that turns $3,000 into $30,000. None of the things that you showed us over here do that. And you're right, because it takes more than just one file or doing it one time for you to actually get to that $30,000, which is a 10x, which is a ridiculous gain. Takes more work than that, bro. So let me explain what I mean. For example, let's say we downloaded this file or we downloaded a bunch of files, we tested them on demo, we liked one of them, we put it on our account, and then it was trading really well. It took our account from about $3,000 to, let's say, $9,900. Now, you could continue using the same file, but that won't really accelerate the growth of your account. What you should do instead is come back here again. And this time you run another test, but with your new balance, which is 9,900 whatever, and then redo this entire process. Once you redo this entire process, you will come back here, upload the data that you get. This time your balance will be 9,900 whatever, and your target drawdown now is much higher. Like, let's say 50%, but now 50% of 9,900 is much higher than 1,500. We're looking more around 4,000 or 5,000 almost, but let's just say 4,900. And now the amount of profits that you'll be able to make is much higher than the previous one, because you're working off of a higher balance and you're working off of a higher target drawdown. So now this will be the file that catapults you from your 9,000 into, let's say, 20,000. And then you could do it again at 20,000 all the way to 30,000. So you might have to do this every 3 months or whatever, update your files. That's the work that it takes. And I'm absolutely fine with it if it means I get to literally hands off make a person's salary with just starting at $3,000. Now, that's exactly how the process works. That's exactly how we use Archangel X to flip accounts. You can use this on prop firm challenges. You can use it on funded accounts. You can use it on instant funded accounts as well. We actually own an instant funding company. All kinds of stuff that you could use our trading bot on to be able to make magnificent gains, as you've seen here. Now, disclaimer, I don't want you to come in, watch this, and be like, okay, so if I buy this thing for whatever price it costs, I'm gonna make 10x in a year. Like, no, that's not how this works. I'm showing you the exact process that we did. I'm not saying that you're gonna do exactly that. I don't know if you're gonna do this process correctly. Of course, we're gonna help you, we're gonna teach you, we're gonna do all of that, but it's much more intricate than just like, oh, I'm gonna buy this and then in a year I'm gonna make 10x completely hands off without doing anything. If that's the mindset you're coming in with, please don't join. But if you're coming in with the mindset that, you know what, I want to learn how to do this. I want to learn how to do these kind of flips. I want to learn how to grow my prop firms accounts. I want to learn how to stack all of these things up and make a fortune from trading, more specifically algorithmic trading that requires about 10 times less effort than manual trading, for example. Because during this whole process, you did not see me open a chart. You did not see me do any technical analysis. You did not see me even check if it's trending already. I did not have to do any of that. All I did was follow the process. Extremely simple. And of course, there's more details, more intricacies inside of the course that we teach you. And from there, you'll be able to learn everything. So if you want to get your hands on Archangel X and be able to do amazing things, all you have to do is click the link down in the description. Now, not everybody can join. This is a application-based entry. We do not take everybody, only a few serious people. This is way too powerful to just have it for cheap and have everybody using it. I'm sorry, but this is much more exclusive than that, and it does come with a price tag. So if you want to get your hands on this, click the link in the description and see if you qualify. If you already have Archangel X and you're watching this, I'm gonna put it as a case study in our school just to show you what is possible with personal accounts, even if you start with around $3,000. Again, it did take a full year and some change. So as you can see, it took from January all the way to February, and we were able to do really good. During that time, we experienced losses, we experienced wins, we experienced drawdown, we experienced all of that. That's just part of the trading. This is part of the trading life, really. But yeah, that's exactly how we use Archangel X to do these huge account flips. Click the link in the description.